Some of you say, there's just no humor in my world. And I suggest to you that you walk in front of a full-length mirror and take a very, very good look. If nothing else, you will give recognition to whoever made you for having a wonderful sense of humor. Jim Unger, the creator of Herman, says having a sense of humor is merely having the ability to laugh at yourself. But we've lost that ability. We had it when we were little. You see 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds in a room and they got a pot in their head. I'm in the army now. And then they go off to school. But when they go to school, they know that they are the cutest, the smartest, the most clever and creative child that God ever made, until they get into the schoolyard. And then it becomes the mission of every other child to say, no, you're not. And the muffled laughter, you got funny hair, dear. Look at how curly your hair is. And what are you laughing at? You got gray hair. And look at you, your mommy buys your clothes at Byway. And as children, when we hear these words and we see that finger in our direction, it doesn't make us feel very good. We feel isolated, alienated, and ever so alone. And we go home to our mummies and we say, Mummy, could you iron my hair, Mummy, because they call me curly top? And Mummy, could you cut the labels out of my clothes? And why do I look like this, Mummy? And we have the nerve to say to our children what our own parents said to us. And that is, honey, that's because God made you special. Hot tip number 2, kids do not want to know that God made them special. Kids want to know that whoever or whatever it was that made them, they were made with the same pattern, the same mold, and the same fabric as all of the other children. Because then they would be accepted and would feel a part of the group. And then as children, you know what we did to cover up? We started shellacking around ourselves and pretending it really wasn't there, that one thing about us that made us different and special. And we started dressing a certain way. If I wear basic black, you'll never know that I've got hips to sink the ships of England, France, and Peru. You won't know that, okay? I'll just cover it up. Who snorted? You snorted. And as adults, here we sit. We all look good. We're all wearing our right colors. We're all wearing just the right fashions. But inside we're going, I hope she doesn't pick on me. I hope she doesn't look at me. Think of what it is that your brother-in-law likes to needle you about. Think of what it is that your best friend likes to get this thing on. Don't do that to me. We must stop and come to terms with what it is about us that we can no longer laugh about. For me, I grew up in oversize. Hard to imagine, isn't it? I grew up hearing those words, one size fits all. No, it doesn't. I heard those words, honey, you'll lose that baby fat. Who's still waiting? When the teacher said to me, act your age, not your shoe size, I was confused because I wore 10.5. When I was giving birth and the doctor looked at the size of my feet, he said, what size are those feet? I said, size 11, what's it to you? He said, oh, Carole, that's a good sign. Because the size of a woman's feet is directly related to her ease for childbirth. I'm thinking, great, all I have to do is go, That was a lie, too. But when I was 12 years old and I was basically fully grown, I had it made. I had lots of friends. I was good in sports. They always wanted me on their team. In my secure little group, my secure little environment, I felt fine, thank you very much. But I was the one that when you took me out of that secure little group, I was the one that got the finger from the strangers. Why? Because I didn't look like other cute little petite 12-year-olds. I remember going to the Roxy Theater just down the street. Date night in Mississauga, and I'm there with my parents. My father goes to the window. 2 adults, 1 child. How old's the child? She's 12 years old. Here are the tickets. He'd come back. He'd hand them over to the woman. Where's the child? She's right here. Well, if she's 12 years old, I'll start popping popcorn for the whole place. My mother would look at her and say, you better start popping, honey, because she's 12 years old. She'd look back at me from head to toe and say, she's awfully big, isn't she? When I heard those words, I didn't picture my cute little petite 12-year-old friends. I pictured Mack trucks. I pictured elephants, and I pictured buildings, and I so desperately wanted to be small. And just as I would enter into my eternal knee bend, there'd be someone behind us saying, Johnny, you're 12, go and stand beside her. My God, she is a big girl. At which point my mother would turn around and say, she's just big for her age. At which point I'd want to disappear through the hole in the ozone layer that wasn't there yet. Well, I matured a bit and I came to terms with the fact there are parts of me I could change and there's parts of me I can't. Thank you very much. So let's just get on with life. And I did. And I finished university, and I got that great job at Mississauga Hospital, and I did my thing, and I got that great man. I was doing all the right things. One day, get a phone call. My friend just had the first baby in the whole group. Oh, what an interruption in my busy day. Off I go to Joseph Brant Hospital. I'm looking through the nursery window. I'm kind of coochie-cooing, and there's a woman standing beside me, all caught up in the excitement. She said, is this your first grandchild, too? I was speechless. I didn't have a comeback. All I remember is my body started to gyrate. Joe put his arm around me. He looked at the woman. He said, you'll never know the damage you've done, and I have to live with her. That was my wake-up call, because prior to that, I had been far too busy to take time out and look in the mirror and recognize that I am now blessed with being prematurely gray. Things only got worse when I started having my own children. And I don't know what it is about me. It must be my magnetic personality. People become obsessed with, they must chat with this woman walking down the street with these children. And I cannot tell you how many situations I have been in the past 11 years where someone has stammered and stuttered and said, oh, you must be so proud of those grandchildren. And I never have a comeback. And I don't want to offend them and I don't want to embarrass them, but I become that little 12-year-old girl again, outside of my secure little environment, and it's like someone just put a pin in my balloon, and I say, come on, kids, no one will buy you an ice cream cone. And it would always take me a day or two to recover, but then it all came together for me. About a few years back, I'm sitting in the park, and an older woman is sitting beside me, and no disrespect intended, but I sure hope she had cataracts. And a little voice in my right shoulder saying, hang in there, honey, she's going to say something to you. And you could always tell when they go. She looked at the children and she looked at me and she said, are these your daughter's children? I'm thinking to myself, no, they're my mother's, lady. But I remembered my mother, and I looked at the woman and I threw back my shoulders and I pointed at the kids and said, no, as a matter of fact, these children are mine. I'm just big for my age. Yes! I went home and said, Joe, I have made it! When you can come to terms today with a source of stress from yesterday, you know that you will be a healthy survivor.